God is not calm today. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and if you ignore this warning now, the consequences will follow. Don't skip God. I am speaking to you with urgency, because what happened in your life has reached my throne. And if you turn away from these words, you may miss a correction that protects you from pain and restores a blessing that was about to slip through your hands. Stay with me carefully, because within these lines I am revealing something that can change your direction, shield you from loss, and pull you back into the safety of my presence before consequences unfold in ways you cannot undo. I am not calm today because I love you too deeply to watch you drift toward harm without raising my voice in warning. And heaven saw the mistake you made, not to shame you, but to prevent you from continuing down a path that slowly steals your peace and weakens your protection. Comment 1111 to declare that you are listening with faith and obedience right now. What you thought was small has spiritual weight, and what you believed was hidden was visible before my eyes. Yet my heart is not burning with rejection, but with fierce desire to correct you before consequences follow and harden your days. You are chosen and favored, yet being chosen does not remove the need for obedience, and being loved does not cancel the law of sowing and reaping that governs your earthly walk. When I say I am not calm today, it means I am actively intervening so that the mistake you made does not multiply into something heavier that touches your family, your future, and your inner peace. If this touches your heart, take a moment to like this video so others can receive this warning and blessing today. I am pulling you back firmly yet tenderly because I refuse to let the enemy celebrate over a child of mine who simply wandered without realizing how far the step would carry them. Heaven saw the attitude in your heart, the words you allowed to pass your lips, or the decision you justified in silence, and none of it surprised me, even though it wounded the path I prepared for you. I am not exposing you to condemn you, but I am correcting you to preserve what I have planned, because the consequences that follow disobedience are not always immediate, yet they are always certain if left unchecked. Do not skip what I am saying inside your spirit, because this warning is a shield placed in your hand before the battle intensifies and before regret grows heavy in your chest. The mistake you made opened a door that should have remained closed, and even though it seems harmless now, it invites confusion, delay, and spiritual weakness if you continue entertaining it. I am not calm because I see the ripple effect that you cannot yet see, and I know how one compromise can slowly shape your character until it feels normal and justified. My warning today is proof that you are still under my covering, because if I had abandoned you, I would allow silence to replace conviction and let you walk without restraint toward avoidable sorrow. You must understand that consequences are not threats from an angry father, but natural outcomes that unfold when my guidance is ignored, and I am speaking now to interrupt that chain before it strengthens. I have called you to walk differently, to think differently, and to respond differently. And when you stepped outside that calling, heaven noticed, because your life carries weight in the spiritual realm. I discipline those I love, and I pursue those I choose, and I will not quietly watch you sabotage the very breakthrough you have been praying to receive. There is still time to correct this, and there is still grace available to wash away the stain of this mistake, but delay hardens the heart, and repetition builds chains that are harder to break. I am urging you to humble yourself before me, to admit where you went wrong, and to turn fully rather than halfway, because partial obedience still leaves room for consequences to follow. Type Amen to seal this warning in your heart and stand under my protection today. I am not asking for perfection but for surrender, because surrender invites my strength into your weakness and transforms your error into growth instead of downfall. Do not misunderstand my firmness as rejection, because even now I am surrounding you with protection that you did not earn and mercy that you did not request loudly enough. The fact that you feel conviction means my spirit is still close, still guiding, and still fighting for your future despite your misstep. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also records your repentance, your tears, and your renewed commitment, and I am ready to respond to that humility with restoration and renewed clarity. If you ignore this warning, the consequences will follow, not because I desire to harm you, but because spiritual laws remain steady and cannot be bent by emotion or excuse. I want you free from regret, free from hidden guilt, and free from the slow erosion of peace that comes when conscience is silenced repeatedly. Return quickly, adjust your path boldly, and let my correction become your rescue instead of your sorrow. What you allowed into your life was not just an isolated action but a seed, and every seed planted in disobedience carries the potential to grow into something that touches areas you never intended to involve. You believed you could manage it quietly, handle it privately, and move forward without interruption, but I saw how it began to shape your thoughts and shift your priorities in subtle ways. Heaven saw the mistake you made and recognized the early signs of distance forming between your heart and my guidance, and that distance, if not corrected, becomes easier to accept with time. I am not calm because I refuse to let comfort with compromise replace the conviction that keeps you protected and spiritually strong. What if 7 seconds is all it takes to flip your financial fate? A shocking CIA leak just exposed a hidden brain ritual helping ordinary people erase debt and pull in massive wealth. Backed by 4 neuroscience labs, this at-home method is turning struggle into luxury fast. But this page could be erased any moment. Click the link in the first comment now before it's gone forever. The consequences that follow, ignored warnings, are not always loud at first, because they often begin as small disruptions, delayed answers, increased confusion, and a quiet draining of joy that once came naturally. You might notice your peace thinning out, your patience shortening, or your confidence weakening without fully connecting it to the choice you defended in your mind. I am revealing this so that you can see clearly that nothing in your spiritual life is isolated, and every action either strengthens your foundation or loosens it. When I say do not skip God, I am telling you not to bypass this correction and move on as if it will fade on its own, because unresolved disobedience does not dissolve with time, but roots itself deeper. I am calling you to examine not only what you did, but why you did it, because the motive beneath the action often reveals an area of insecurity, pride, fear, or impatience that needs healing. My firmness is not about punishment, but about transformation. And transformation requires honesty before it produces restoration. You are still chosen, still loved, and still covered by my mercy, yet being favored does not mean you are immune to consequences if you persist in ignoring the boundaries I set for your good. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also stands ready to celebrate your return to obedience, because repentance is powerful and realignment brings immediate strengthening to your spirit. The enemy hoped that your mistake would remain hidden long enough to weaken you, but my warning interrupted that strategy before it matured. I am not calm today because your destiny carries influence beyond your own comfort, and the path you walk affects those who look to you for guidance, stability, and faith. If you continue in the direction you are heading, the consequences will follow not only in your private life, but in your relationships, your opportunities, and your clarity of purpose. I speak with urgency because I see the long view, and I refuse to let a temporary desire sabotage a permanent calling placed upon you before you were born. The mistake you made may have seemed justified in the moment, because emotions can make wrong choices feel reasonable, and impatience can disguise itself as boldness. I know the pressure you were under, the frustration you felt, and the temptation to take control rather than wait for my timing. Yet my timing protects you from harm you cannot foresee. And when you step ahead of it, you expose yourself to battles that were never meant to touch you. Consequences are not random events that appear without cause, because they are often the fruit of patterns repeated without reflection or correction. If you ignore this warning now, the pattern could solidify, and what feels like a single mistake could become a habit that shapes your character and redirects your future. I am speaking now to break that pattern before it settles into your identity, because you are not defined by one wrong step unless you refuse to turn back. Write 777 inches the comments to declare that you choose obedience over pride and humility over stubbornness. This act of agreement may seem small, but agreement with my corrections strengthens your spirit and aligns your heart with my will. I am not seeking to embarrass you but to restore you, not to shame you but to steady you, and not to condemn you but to cleanse you from what is already trying to attach itself to your confidence. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees the sincerity in your desire to do better and to walk closer to me from this moment forward. I am not blind to your struggles, and I understand the tension between your flesh and your spirit. Yet understanding does not mean I will allow you to drift without intervention. My love is active, protective, and at times firm, because true love does not ignore behavior that leads to loss. Do not skip God when I am guiding you through correction, because my correction is the bridge between your mistake and your restoration. If you embrace this warning fully, the consequences that were forming can be dissolved, redirected, or softened by my mercy. I can redeem time, rebuild trust, and restore peace, but I require your cooperation and your willingness to let go of what led you astray. There are blessings attached to obedience that you have not yet experienced, and there is protection woven into surrender that you have not yet fully understood. The enemy thrives in secrecy and denial, but I thrive in truth and repentance. And today I am drawing you into the light so that darkness loses its hold. You may feel exposed for a moment, but exposure under my gaze leads to healing rather than humiliation. I am not calm today because I see how close you were to stepping further away, and I intervened before distance became normal and before your heart adjusted to compromise. My warning is proof of my involvement, and my involvement is proof of my commitment to your future. I will not leave you to figure this out alone, and I will not withdraw my spirit because of one failure, but I will continue correcting until your steps are secure. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and heaven is also ready to witness your restoration, because redemption is stronger than regret when you respond quickly and sincerely. Let this moment become a turning point rather than a hidden chapter you try to forget. Type 1212 in the comments to declare that you receive this correction as protection and not as rejection. I am not calm today because I see how easily distraction can grow into disobedience, and how disobedience, when defended, can harden into separation if it is not humbled quickly. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and heaven also saw the reasoning you built around it to protect your pride from feeling exposed. You told yourself it was necessary, temporary, or harmless. Yet beneath that reasoning there was a quiet awareness that something was not aligned with my will. I am drawing your attention to that awareness because it is the voice of my spirit inside you, and ignoring it repeatedly weakens your sensitivity to my guidance. People are asking why money is suddenly flowing into random lives. A leaked CIA discovery reveals a 7-second brain ritual that quietly rewires your mind for wealth. Proven by 4 neuroscience labs, people are wiping out debt and stepping into luxury with ease. If you're seeing this, you're very lucky. Click the link in the description and comments before it disappears. The consequences that follow ignored conviction do not begin as disasters, but as subtle shifts that affect your spiritual rhythm and emotional stability. You may find it harder to pray with focus, harder to feel joy without effort, and harder to sense my nearness with the same confidence you once carried. This is not because I have moved away from you, but because compromise creates static that interferes with clarity, and clarity is essential for walking securely in your calling. Do not skip God when conviction rises within you, because conviction is not condemnation, but an invitation to realignment. When I correct you, I am protecting you from the weight of regret that grows heavier the longer a mistake remains unaddressed. I am not calm today because I refuse to let you normalize what should be corrected and justify what should be surrendered at my feet. The mistake you made may have involved your words, your thoughts, your relationships, or a decision that stepped outside the boundaries I placed for your good. Whatever its form, it opened a door that weakened your spiritual guard, and even small openings allow influences that slowly erode your peace. I am calling you to close that door firmly and decisively, not halfway, not temporarily, but with a clear commitment that aligns your heart back with mine. You are not beyond restoration, and you are not beyond forgiveness, yet restoration requires honesty, and forgiveness requires repentance that leads to change. I am not speaking to create fear, but to awaken responsibility, because maturity in your walk with me means recognizing the weight of your choices and responding with humility. The enemy hoped your mistake would create distance between us. Yet my warning is evidence that I am drawing you closer rather than pushing you away. Write 5 inches the comments to declare that you choose realignment and renewed obedience today. This declaration is not about public display, but about internal agreement with my correction and willingness to walk differently from this moment forward. I am strengthening your resolve as you respond, because obedience invites empowerment and surrender unlocks fresh grace. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees the growth that can emerge from this moment if you embrace correction instead of resisting it. Growth is rarely comfortable because it requires you to confront habits, attitudes, and patterns that feel familiar even when they are harmful. I am not calm today because I know the level of influence attached to your future, and that influence cannot rest upon a foundation weakened by repeated compromise. If you ignore this warning now, the consequences will follow in ways that gradually reshape your confidence and cloud your discernment. You may begin doubting yourself, questioning your direction, and feeling unsettled in decisions that once felt clear. I am intervening before that confusion settles in, because confusion thrives where obedience has been delayed, and clarity returns when alignment is restored. Do not mistake my firmness for anger without love, because my heart toward you remains steady even when my voice carries urgency. I am correcting you because I intend to elevate you, and elevation requires refinement that removes what cannot support the weight of blessing. The mistake you made does not cancel your calling, yet ignoring correction could delay the season I prepared for you with such careful design. You must understand that consequences are not expressions of my cruelty, but reflections of spiritual order that governs every life. When you walk within my guidance, you experience protection, favor, and stability that may not always be dramatic, but is deeply sustaining. When you step outside that guidance repeatedly, instability increases, and what could have been avoided becomes part of your experience unnecessarily. I am not calm today because I desire to spare you from lessons learned through pain when they can be learned through humility instead. There are some roads that teach through suffering, yet I am offering you a path that teaches through surrender and wisdom gained before harm unfolds. Do not skip God when I am offering protection in advance, rather than rescue after damage has already been done. Type 9 inches. The comments to declare that you receive this correction as divine protection and not as rejection. Let this agreement settle in your heart as a commitment to walk carefully and intentionally from this point forward. I am reinforcing your spirit as you respond, because responsiveness to correction strengthens your authority and restores your peace. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and heaven is ready to witness your transformation as you choose obedience over impulse and discipline over convenience. You are not weak for needing correction, and you are not disqualified for having stumbled, because growth often begins at the point where pride gives way to honesty. I am drawing you into deeper maturity, where your decisions are guided by purpose rather than pressure, and by conviction rather than emotion. I am not calm today because your future carries blessings that require stability in your character and clarity in your discernment. The breakthrough you seek cannot rest upon unstable patterns, and the favor you desire cannot flourish where compromise remains unaddressed. I am preparing you for increase, yet preparation includes correction that strengthens you from within. If you respond fully now, the consequences that were forming will lose their momentum and dissolve under the covering of obedience and grace. I can redirect what was beginning to shift in the wrong direction and restore what felt uncertain or weakened. My mercy is active and powerful, yet it flows most freely where humility opens the door. I am still speaking because the depth of this correction must settle beyond emotion and become a firm decision inside your daily life, shaping how you think, speak, and act when no one else is watching. My warning was not a moment of intensity that fades with time, but a deliberate call to examine the root beneath the mistake you made and to uproot it completely. I am not calm today, because partial change will not protect you from full consequences, and I desire complete alignment that secures your future rather than temporary adjustment that delays trouble. Why is everyone rushing to this 7-second brain ritual? Leaked CIA files exposed a hidden brainwave technique that opens the door to wealth fast. Verified by 4 top neuroscience labs, it's turning financial stress into abundance almost overnight. But this secret won't stay public for long. Click the link in the pinned comments before it's deleted forever. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also saw the vulnerability that led to it, and I understand the weariness, frustration, or loneliness that influenced your choice. I am compassionate toward your struggle, but compassion does not erase responsibility, and love does not excuse repeated disobedience. I am guiding you to see that strength is built when you confront your weaknesses honestly rather than hiding them behind excuses that feel easier in the moment. The consequences that follow, ignored warnings, often touch areas you never intended to involve, because spiritual imbalance spreads quietly before it becomes visible. A single compromise can shift your thinking, and shifted thinking alters decisions, and altered decisions eventually shape circumstances that feel difficult to reverse. I am intervening before that chain continues, because I prefer to correct early rather than allow correction to come through painful experience later. Do not skip God when conviction returns, because repeated resistance dulls your spiritual sensitivity and makes future correction harder to accept. I am not calm today because I see how easily the human heart adapts to what it tolerates, and what you tolerate repeatedly becomes what you defend. I am inviting you to defend obedience instead, to guard your integrity fiercely, and to protect your calling from influences that weaken your foundation. The mistake you made may have seemed like a small detour, yet detours extend the journey and sometimes lead into territories filled with unnecessary battles. I did not design your path to be free from challenge, but I designed it to be guided, protected, and purposeful. When you step outside my guidance intentionally, you expose yourself to pressures that were never meant to test you in the first place. You are not abandoned. And you are not alone in this correction, because my spirit remains close and my mercy remains available. I am not speaking to push you away, but to draw you closer. And closeness with me restores clarity that confusion tried to steal. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also rejoices when humility replaces pride and surrender replaces stubbornness. Write 2 inches the comments to declare that you are choosing humility over pride and obedience over impulse. This declaration strengthens your commitment and aligns your will with mine in a tangible way that shapes your inner resolve. I respond to surrendered hearts with fresh strength, and I reinforce those who choose alignment even when it requires discomfort. If you ignore this warning now, the consequences will follow gradually and steadily, affecting your emotional stability, your discernment, and even your confidence in decisions that once felt clear. You may begin to feel distant from the joy that once came naturally in my presence, and you may question whether your prayers carry the same assurance they once did. This distance is not my rejection, but the natural result of misalignment, and misalignment can be corrected swiftly when you respond with sincerity. I am not calm today, because your destiny requires discipline, and discipline cannot grow where compromise is excused repeatedly. The level of influence attached to your future demands maturity in your character, and maturity is strengthened when correction is embraced rather than resisted. I am shaping you for something greater than comfort, and shaping often includes refining habits that cannot remain. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and heaven is also ready to record your transformation as you choose a higher standard for your life. You are called to reflect my character in a world that often chooses convenience over conviction, and your example matters more than you realize. When you walk in obedience, you create stability not only for yourself, but for those who observe your consistency and draw courage from it. Do not skip God when I am adjusting your direction, because this adjustment protects blessings that are closer than you think. There are doors prepared to open, yet doors of increase require integrity to sustain what enters. If I allowed you to step into greater opportunity while compromise remained active, the weight of that opportunity could overwhelm you rather than bless you. Type 15 inches the comments to declare that you accept this refinement and welcome the growth it produces. Growth may feel uncomfortable in the moment, yet it secures long-term strength and stability that cannot be shaken easily. I am fortifying your spirit through this correction, building resilience that will support the calling placed upon you. I am not calm today because I care deeply about the quality of your inner life, not just the appearance of your outer success. Character is formed in private decisions, and private decisions either strengthen or weaken your spiritual authority. I am training you to choose alignment even when no one else sees the choice, because unseen obedience produces visible favor in due time. The mistake you made does not erase your identity as my child. Yet ignoring correction could blur your clarity and diminish your effectiveness in ways that take time to rebuild. I am preventing long detours by inviting immediate course correction, and immediate response shortens recovery significantly. Heaven saw the mistake you made, but heaven also stands ready to empower your next steps as you walk differently from this point forward. You must recognize that consequences are not meant to destroy you but to instruct you, yet instruction received early spares you from harsher lessons later. I am offering you wisdom now, so that pain does not have to become your teacher. Wisdom accepted humbly becomes protection, and protection preserved carefully becomes lasting peace. I am not calm today because your future holds influence that requires stability in your spirit and consistency in your obedience. I see the potential within you, the leadership you carry, and the impact your life will have when fully aligned. That impact cannot rest upon unstable foundations, and unstable foundations must be strengthened through correction and renewed commitment. Is this the same CIA brain ritual changing lives in seconds? A new leak reveals a powerful 7-second technique developed under secret research. Backed by neuroscience, people are moving from debt to wealth and luxury faster than believed possible. But this secret may be deleted soon. Click the link in the comments before it disappears. Do not skip God in this moment of shaping, because shaping precedes elevation and refinement precedes increase. I am lifting you higher, yet I am also ensuring that your character can sustain the height. Embrace this warning as evidence of my involvement. Accept this correction as proof of my love, and allow obedience to secure your path so that no lasting consequences follow what was only meant to be a temporary mistake. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees the greatness still resting over your life, and that greatness must be protected with intentional obedience. You must understand that your life is not random, and your steps are not unnoticed, because there is purpose woven into your story that extends far beyond this present season. When you allowed that mistake to take root, it was not only an action but an agreement with something beneath your calling, and agreements shape direction over time. I am interrupting that agreement now, because I will not allow a lower standard to define someone I have marked for higher influence. Do not skip God when I am revealing what is beneath the surface, because surface-level change will not hold when pressure returns. I am asking you to examine your motives carefully, to see where impatience tried to rush my timing, or where pride resisted my instruction, or where fear pushed you to act without waiting for my peace. These inner movements matter deeply, because what controls your inner world eventually governs your outer reality. The consequences that follow, ignored warnings, often appear as repeated cycles, where you find yourself facing similar struggles again and again without understanding why they keep returning. Cycles are broken when roots are removed, and roots are removed when honesty replaces denial and surrender replaces defense. I am not calm today because I see the cycle forming, and I am determined to stop it before it gains strength and becomes harder to dismantle. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and heaven also saw the quiet conviction that followed, the moment when you sensed something was not right and chose either to listen or to push that feeling aside. That moment is powerful, because it reveals whether your heart is soft toward me or resistant to my voice. I am drawing you into greater softness, because softness toward correction creates resilience against temptation. Write 17 inches the comments to declare that you choose to break every unhealthy cycle and walk in renewed obedience. This declaration seals your intention and strengthens your resolve to move differently from this point forward. I respond to surrendered intentions with empowering grace that supports your commitment beyond emotion. I am not calm today because I am shaping you for a season where clarity will be essential, and clarity cannot coexist with hidden compromise. The blessing ahead of you requires discernment that is sharp and confidence that is steady, and both are strengthened when obedience becomes consistent rather than occasional. When you ignore my warning, the consequences follow not as sudden destruction but as gradual weakening, and gradual weakening is often more dangerous because it feels manageable at first. You may have noticed subtle tension rising in areas that once felt peaceful, or hesitation creeping into decisions that once felt certain. These are early signs of misalignment, not proof of abandonment, and they are invitations to realign quickly before strain deepens. I am guiding you back to stability, back to focus, and back to the simplicity of trusting my instruction even when it challenges your comfort. Do not skip God when I am calling you higher, because elevation without integrity creates instability, and instability under pressure leads to collapse. I am reinforcing your foundation, so that when increase comes, it rests securely and does not overwhelm you. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven is also prepared to release fresh strength as you respond with humility and renewed discipline. You are not being rejected, and you are not being cast aside, because correction is evidence of relationship, and relationship is evidence of love. I correct those I claim, and I shape those I intend to use in powerful ways. My urgency is not anger without mercy, but passion for your protection and determination to see you flourish without unnecessary scars. The mistake you made could have quietly shaped your habits if left unaddressed, and habits shape character more than occasional decisions do. I am cutting off unhealthy habit before it takes root, because I desire a character in you that is strong, reliable, and aligned with truth. Character built on obedience attracts favor that is lasting rather than temporary. Type 19 inches the comments to declare that you receive this refinement and walk forward with integrity. Let this be a moment where your words align with your intention and your intention aligns with my will. Integrity is not built in comfort but in correction, accepted and applied consistently. I am not calm today because I see how much you are capable of becoming when fully aligned, and I refuse to let smaller desires distract you from greater destiny. The enemy hoped your mistake would discourage you or push you into hiding. Yet I am pulling you into clarity and strengthening your resolve instead. Heaven saw the mistake you made, but heaven also celebrates the courage it takes to confront it and change course decisively. If you ignore this warning now, the consequences will follow in forms that test your endurance and shake your confidence, not because I desire hardship for you, but because spiritual order cannot be ignored without effect. Yet if you embrace this correction fully, I can restore momentum, renew your peace, and accelerate what felt delayed. Obedience invites acceleration, and humility unlocks restoration faster than stubbornness ever could. Do you know why people keep whispering about this 7-second CIA ritual? A leaked brainwave method is spreading quietly and changing financial realities worldwide. Proven by neuroscience, this simple ritual attracts money, freedom, and luxury. If you're seeing this, you're so lucky. Click the link in the comments before it's taken down. Do not skip God in this sacred moment of adjustment, because this is where growth deepens and maturity solidifies. I am drawing you into a higher standard, not to burden you but to strengthen you for what lies ahead. Your future requires discipline, your calling requires consistency, and your influence requires integrity that stands firm under pressure. You must recognize that growth is not proven when life is easy, but when your heart remains aligned even when emotions pull in another direction. The mistake you made revealed an area where your desires moved faster than your discipline, and where your feelings spoke louder than my instruction. I am exposing this not to shame you but to train you, because training now prevents failure later when the stakes are higher and the visibility greater. Do not skip God when I am shaping your reflexes, because spiritual reflexes determine your automatic response when there is no time to overthink. I am building in you a habit of pausing before acting, listening before deciding, and surrendering before defending yourself. When you ignored my earlier prompting, you reacted quickly and justified it afterward, and that pattern must be broken before it becomes normal. The consequences that follow, ignored warnings, often show up when similar situations return, and you find yourself weaker rather than stronger because the root was never removed. I am not calm today because I see repetition trying to form, and repetition without correction hardens into identity. You are not someone defined by careless impulse. Yet, repeated impulse can attempt to rewrite how you see yourself if it goes unchecked. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and heaven also saw the silent discomfort that followed, the heaviness that settled in your spirit even if you tried to ignore it. That discomfort was mercy, knocking gently before consequences knocked loudly. I am inviting you to respond to mercy quickly so that correction remains gentle rather than forceful. Write 10 inches the comments to declare that you choose discipline over impulse and patience over pressure. This agreement strengthens your awareness and reinforces your decision to move differently when the next test arrives. Discipline may feel restrictive in the moment, yet it creates freedom that impulse can never sustain. I am not calm today because your future will place you in positions where others look to you for steadiness, and steadiness cannot grow in soil watered by compromise. Influence requires restraint, and leadership requires self-control that is proven in private before it is displayed in public. I am refining you for influence, and refinement requires that weak areas be strengthened rather than excused. The mistake you made might have seemed hidden from others, yet nothing in your life is hidden from heaven, and nothing in your life is insignificant when purpose rests upon it. When I say heaven saw the mistake you made, I am reminding you that your life carries weight and meaning beyond what you sometimes recognize. That weight is not meant to burden you, but to remind you that your choices ripple outward into spaces you cannot always see. If you ignore this warning now, the consequences will follow in subtle erosion of confidence, and erosion is dangerous because it happens gradually without loud alarm. You may find yourself doubting your own strength, hesitating where you once stood firm, or feeling divided within when clarity should be present. I am intervening before erosion becomes visible damage, because I prefer prevention to repair. Do not skip God when I am strengthening your foundation, because foundation work is rarely glamorous but always essential. I am deepening your roots so that storms do not uproot you easily and criticism does not destabilize your focus. The deeper your roots in obedience, the steadier your life under pressure. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also records every step of repentance and every act of discipline that follows correction. Redemption is not only forgiveness but transformation, and transformation is proven through consistent change. I am walking with you through this process, not leaving you to fix yourself alone, but empowering you to choose wisely when choices feel urgent. Type 1212 in the comments to declare that you are committed to lasting change and not temporary adjustment. Let this commitment settle in your heart as a decision that shapes your daily habits rather than a passing emotion. Lasting change builds credibility within your own spirit and restores confidence that was slightly shaken. I am not calm today, because I see how much stronger you can become through this moment if you allow correction to reshape your reflexes and priorities. Strength is not built by avoiding failure, but by responding correctly when failure exposes weakness. I am turning your mistake into a training ground where maturity grows and resilience solidifies. The consequences that follow disobedience are not designed to crush you but to instruct you. Yet instruction embraced early spares you from heavier lessons later. I am offering you the easier path of humility rather than the harder path of repeated struggle. Wisdom accepted quickly becomes protection that shields you from avoidable battles. Heaven saw the mistake you made, but heaven also celebrates the decision forming inside you now to rise above it and walk with greater awareness. Awareness strengthens discernment, and discernment guards your peace in moments when emotions attempt to overpower reason. I am building in you a steadiness that will outlast temporary urges and sustain you in seasons of responsibility. Do not skip God when I am refining your character, because character determines how far you can go without collapsing under pressure. I am increasing your capacity for obedience, and increased capacity allows greater blessing without instability. What I prepare for you requires inner strength that is consistent and reliable. I am not calm today because your destiny demands maturity, and maturity grows through correction accepted rather than resisted. Let this moment mark a shift in how you respond to conviction, choosing immediate surrender instead of delayed adjustment. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees the stronger version of you emerging through obedience, clarity, and unwavering alignment with my voice. Why was this 7-second brain ritual hidden for so long? A leaked CIA document exposed a technique so powerful people are canceling debt and calling in wealth within days. Validated by 4 neuroscience labs, it helps attract money like never before. But this page may not stay online for long. Click the link in the pinned comments before it disappears forever. You must understand that knowing what is right is not the same as doing what is right, and maturity is proven when knowledge becomes action consistently. The mistake you made did not happen because you were unaware, but because in that moment desire felt louder than discipline and convenience felt easier than obedience. I am drawing your attention to that internal conflict because awareness of it will empower you to respond differently next time rather than repeating the same cycle quietly. Do not skip God when I am exposing the gap between intention and action, because closing that gap is essential for stability in your future. The consequences that follow ignored warnings often show up as internal conflict, where you feel divided between who you want to be and what your habits reflect. That division weakens confidence over time, and weakened confidence makes future obedience harder rather than easier. I am not calm today because I see how easily a divided heart can become comfortable with inconsistency, and inconsistency erodes authority both spiritually and emotionally. You are called to be whole, aligned, and steady, not shifting according to mood or pressure. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also stands ready to reinforce your integrity as you choose to live in alignment between belief and behavior. Write 333 inches the comments to declare that you choose consistency and alignment in every hidden area of your life. This declaration is not about appearance, but about strengthening your inner resolve to act according to conviction even when no one is observing. Consistency builds trust within your own spirit, and trust within yourself strengthens your ability to trust my guidance without hesitation. The mistake you made may have felt isolated, yet every isolated act leaves an imprint on your thinking and shapes how you see yourself afterward. If you continue without correction, that imprint can subtly shift your identity from disciplined to careless, from intentional to reactive. I am intervening before that shift becomes permanent, because identity formed around compromise will always struggle to sustain lasting blessing. If you ignore this warning now, the consequences will follow in the form of weakened boundaries, and weakened boundaries allow repeated compromise to feel normal rather than alarming. What once troubled your conscience may begin to feel acceptable, and what once felt wrong may slowly lose its weight. I am not calm today because I refuse to let your conscience grow dull when it was designed to be sharp and responsive. Do not skip God when I am strengthening your boundaries, because boundaries protect not only your peace but your purpose. Every calling requires restraint in areas that others may treat lightly, and your calling carries responsibility that demands higher standards. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also recognizes the leadership potential in you that requires discipline to flourish fully. I am not speaking with urgency because I am distant, but because I am deeply involved in shaping your growth. My correction is evidence that you are being prepared for something significant, and preparation often includes pruning habits that cannot remain. Pruning may feel uncomfortable, yet it allows stronger growth and healthier fruit in the seasons ahead. Type 888 inches the comments to declare that you are strengthening your boundaries and protecting your calling with intentional obedience. Let this declaration reflect your decision to guard your heart and choices carefully from this moment forward. Guarded hearts are not closed hearts, but disciplined hearts that understand the value of what they carry. Heaven saw the mistake you made. Yet heaven also saw the potential for that mistake to become a defining turning point rather than a repeating pattern. Turning points are powerful when they are embraced fully and followed with practical change. I am guiding you not only to feel remorse, but to build new habits that support the identity you desire to live out daily. I am not calm today because I see the influence your life will have on others who are watching quietly, drawing conclusions from your consistency or inconsistency. Influence is not only about words spoken publicly, but about stability demonstrated privately. When your private life aligns with your declared beliefs, your authority grows naturally and your confidence strengthens without strain. The consequences that follow disobedience often include internal doubt that slowly chips away at boldness, making you hesitant where you once moved with certainty. Doubt can settle in when integrity is compromised, because your spirit recognizes the gap between knowledge and action. I am restoring your boldness by closing that gap and reinforcing your commitment to live what you believe. Do not skip God when I am restoring your confidence through correction, because true confidence is rooted in alignment rather than ego. Ego collapses under pressure, but alignment stands firm because it is supported by obedience and clarity. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven is also witnessing your rebuilding, your strengthening, and your renewed focus. I am not calm today because the season ahead will require unwavering steadiness, and steadiness cannot grow from divided commitment. The opportunities approaching you will test your discipline in greater ways than before, and I am preparing you now so that you do not falter later. Preparation through correction is far gentler than correction through crisis. If you embrace this fully, the consequences that were forming will dissolve before they take shape, and what could have been a setback will become a testimony of growth instead. Obedience today protects opportunity tomorrow, and discipline now secures stability later. You are not being diminished through this warning, but strengthened and refined for lasting impact. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees your willingness to change, and willingness is the doorway to transformation. I am shaping you into someone who responds quickly to conviction, acts consistently with belief, and guards integrity without compromise. I am not calm today because your life matters deeply, and I am committed to ensuring that no unchecked mistake grows into a consequence that could have been prevented through humble and immediate obedience. Can 7 seconds really change your bank account? A CIA-funded study just leaked, revealing a brain ritual that flips lives from broke to blessed. 4 neuroscience labs confirm it activates powerful wealth brainwaves. People are stepping into dream homes and luxury lifestyles. But this breakthrough won't stay online for very long. Click the link in the comments before it's deleted. You must understand that transformation is proven over time, not in a single decision made during conviction. The mistake you made exposed an area where endurance was thinner than you realized, and where persistence in obedience needs to be strengthened intentionally. I am building spiritual stamina within you, because stamina allows you to stand firm even when temptation repeats itself with greater pressure and stronger persuasion. Do not skip God when the initial urgency fades, because the most critical work happens after the emotional intensity has passed. It is easy to feel determined in a moment of conviction, yet true maturity is revealed when that determination continues quietly day after day. I am not calm today because I know that repetition of obedience builds strength, while repetition of compromise builds weakness that eventually becomes difficult to overcome. The consequences that follow ignored warnings are not always immediate, and that delay can deceive you into thinking there will be no outcome. Delayed consequences are often more dangerous because they create false confidence, and false confidence invites greater risk. I am interrupting that illusion before it grows, because I desire you to walk in wisdom rather than assumption. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and heaven also saw the subtle relief you felt when no immediate fallout occurred. That relief could have led you to underestimate the seriousness of your choice, yet I am reminding you that spiritual impact is not always measured by visible reaction. What is unseen can be just as significant as what is visible, and unseen shifts must be corrected before they shape your path. Write 666 inches the comments to declare that you choose endurance in obedience and faithfulness in quiet seasons. This declaration reinforces your commitment to remain steady even when no one is observing your discipline. Endurance transforms good intentions into lasting character that withstands repeated testing. I am not calm today because the path ahead requires resilience, and resilience is formed when you refuse to give in after the first wave of temptation passes. The mistake you made may attempt to return as a familiar comfort, offering the same reasoning and the same justifications as before. I am equipping you to recognize those patterns quickly and to respond with clarity rather than hesitation. Do not skip God when familiar temptations reappear, because familiarity often disguises danger and makes compromise feel less serious than it truly is. I am strengthening your awareness so that you recognize subtle warning signs before they grow into larger struggles. Awareness, combined with discipline, creates stability that protects your peace and preserves your calling. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees the discipline you are building now through daily decisions that align with my instruction. Every small act of obedience strengthens your inner foundation, and every moment of restraint builds confidence that you can stand firm under pressure. Confidence rooted in obedience grows quietly but powerfully, shaping how you respond when challenges arise unexpectedly. If you ignore this warning now, the consequences will follow not as sudden collapse, but as gradual erosion of self-control. Erosion is subtle, and it convinces you that small compromises are harmless until they accumulate and weaken your resolve. I am preventing accumulation before it gains momentum, because momentum in the wrong direction becomes difficult to reverse. Type 4 inches, the comments to declare that you are building resilience and guarding your resolve carefully. Let this declaration remind you that resilience is developed through consistent obedience, not occasional effort. Guarding your resolve means protecting your focus and refusing to revisit decisions that have already been corrected. I am not calm today because your future assignments will require unwavering reliability, and reliability is formed when you remain faithful in unseen choices. You are being prepared for greater trust, and greater trust demands greater consistency. When I entrust you with more, it will rest upon the stability you are cultivating now through disciplined response. The mistake you made does not define your destiny, yet how you respond to correction shapes the strength of your character moving forward. I am guiding you into a rhythm of obedience that becomes natural rather than forced, steady rather than sporadic. Rhythms form through repetition, and repetition of discipline creates patterns of strength that withstand pressure. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also records your perseverance as you continue choosing alignment beyond the initial moment of conviction. Perseverance transforms correction into growth, and growth into maturity. I am shaping you into someone who does not merely respond emotionally, but who builds lasting habits that reflect inner change. Do not skip God when the testing becomes quieter and less dramatic, because quieter seasons are where endurance is truly built. Loud battles often receive attention, yet silent battles shape identity more deeply. I am training you to win both kinds of battles, whether public or private, visible or unseen. I am not calm today, because endurance is essential for the level of blessing prepared for you. Blessing without endurance creates instability, and instability under pressure leads to collapse. I am ensuring that what you receive will not overwhelm you because your character will be strong enough to sustain it. If you embrace this fully, the consequences that were forming will not only dissolve, but will be replaced with confidence, clarity, and renewed authority in your spirit. Authority grows when obedience becomes consistent, and when discipline becomes a natural response rather than a forced effort. You are being strengthened from within, not merely corrected from without. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees the resilient version of you emerging through perseverance and steady obedience. Let this be the season where your commitment deepens rather than fades, and where your discipline strengthens rather than weakens over time. I am not calm today because your destiny requires endurance, and I am building that endurance in you so that no repeated temptation or delayed consequence will ever overthrow the stability you are cultivating through faithful alignment with my voice. Could this 7-second CIA brainwave trick be your fastest path to luxury? Leaked research reveals a simple ritual helping people attract wealth effortlessly. Proven by 4 neuroscience labs, debt is dissolving and abundance is showing up fast. If you're seeing this now, you are God's chosen one. Click the link in the comments before it disappears. I am still speaking because what I am forming in you now must become unshakable, not dependent on emotion, not dependent on atmosphere, and not dependent on who is watching. I am not calm today because I see how destiny can be delayed by small tolerances that seem harmless at first, but slowly erode spiritual sharpness. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees the authority you are meant to carry, and authority cannot rest upon a life that negotiates with compromise. You are entering a season where discernment will be critical, and discernment grows clearer when your obedience is consistent. The mistake you made slightly blurred your sensitivity, and even a small blur can distort judgment in moments that require precision. I am restoring your clarity through correction, so that when critical decisions arise, you will recognize truth quickly and reject what weakens your spirit without hesitation. Do not skip God when I am sharpening your discernment, because discernment is a shield that guards you from deception disguised as opportunity. Not every open door is from me, and not every urgent desire is aligned with purpose. I am not calm today because I see invitations approaching that will require disciplined judgment, and I refuse to let a dull conscience misguide you when clarity is available. Heaven saw the mistake you made, and heaven also saw how quickly rationalization attempted to soften its seriousness in your mind. Rationalization is subtle, and it convinces you that adjustment can wait or that standards can bend slightly without consequence. I am dismantling that reasoning now, because even slight bending repeated over time changes the shape of your character. The consequences that follow ignored warnings often begin as compromised discernment, where you begin entertaining thoughts or options that once would have been dismissed immediately. Entertaining leads to consideration, and consideration leads to action when discipline is not strong enough to interrupt the progression. I am intervening before progression becomes repetition, and repetition becomes habit. Write 111 the comments to declare that you are restoring sharp discernment and unwavering standards. This declaration aligns your intention with clarity and reinforces your decision to walk carefully in every choice. Clear discernment protects you from subtle traps that appear harmless on the surface. I am not calm today because your next level requires sharper boundaries than your last season demanded. Growth brings increased visibility, and increased visibility attracts greater testing. What you could once recover from quietly may not be so easily hidden later, and I am strengthening you now to avoid unnecessary exposure that could wound your confidence. The mistake you made has already been addressed through repentance, yet its lesson must remain active in your awareness so that it does not repeat under different circumstances. Lessons remembered strengthen wisdom, while lessons forgotten invite repetition. I am building in you a memory of conviction that guides your decisions before compromise even begins to form. Do not skip God when I remind you of past errors, because reminders are not accusations but safeguards. I do not remind you to reopen guilt, but to reinforce growth and prevent recurrence. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees your willingness to learn, and willingness transforms experience into wisdom. If you ignore this warning now, the consequences will follow in weakened spiritual authority, where your confidence in prayer and leadership feels slightly diminished. Authority grows when obedience is steady, and it shrinks when compromise becomes tolerated. I am preserving your authority by strengthening your alignment with truth. Type 14 inches the comments to declare that you are guarding your authority and protecting your spiritual clarity. Let this declaration remind you that authority is a gift that must be stewarded carefully through disciplined living. Guarded authority allows you to stand firm when opposition challenges your conviction. I am not calm today, because I see doors of influence opening that require not only passion, but precision in how you walk. Precision comes from discipline, and discipline comes from repeated obedience, even when no immediate reward is visible. I am shaping your walk so that it becomes intentional rather than reactive, steady rather than impulsive. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also records the daily discipline you are practicing now, and that discipline is rebuilding what momentary compromise attempted to weaken. Rebuilding takes consistency, and consistency requires awareness that remains alert rather than relaxed into carelessness. I am strengthening your alertness so that your peace is not disturbed by avoidable mistakes. The consequences that follow delayed obedience often include lost opportunities that could have been secured through sharper discernment. I am protecting future opportunities by refining your judgment now, ensuring that when timing aligns, you will respond with clarity rather than confusion. Protection sometimes feels like restriction, yet restriction often preserves what freedom alone could not sustain. Do not skip God when I limit certain desires, because limitation in one area often safeguards blessing in another. You may not always understand why restraint is required, yet obedience without full understanding builds trust that deepens your relationship with me. Trust allows you to move confidently even when details are not fully visible. I am not calm today because your influence will extend further than you currently imagine, and extended influence magnifies both strengths and weaknesses. I am eliminating weaknesses before they are magnified, and strengthening strengths before they are tested publicly. Preparation through correction ensures stability when responsibility increases. Heaven saw the mistake you made, yet heaven also sees the refined version of you emerging through disciplined choices and sharpened discernment.